Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in another Battle.net game between Curious and Huck, Liquid Huck here on Tal'Darim Altar. Pretty sure this is just another Battle.net game, as you can see the destructible rocks at the third location here. We are going to have Curious spawning as the red Zerg player at the 5 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Huck spawning as the blue Protoss over here at the 7 o'clock position. So, yes, and this is going to be Zerg versus Protoss once again. I seem to come across a lot of Zerg versus Protoss games, but then again, they are always very interesting, as Huck looking to do a fast expansion here on Tal'Darim Altar. A very standard style of play where a lot of Protoss players attempt to take this base as quickly as possible, and that really helps them in the long run, as they are able to force the Zerg to try to take a third base much earlier than they would normally like to, and then start to spread themselves a little thin. An Overlord now making its way off over here. It looks like Huck scouting in the wrong direction, and we'll see if Huck opens up with that 15 Nexus. I have seen a 15 Nexus as of late. No, it doesn't look like it will be a 15 Nexus. It looks like he will be going for a Forge fast expansion. No, now scouting out with a second probe. So this is a bit curious. I haven't seen a Protoss player try to scout out with 2 probes in quite some time. Perhaps he will be trying to do a cannon rush. So he wants to quickly be able to, I guess, wall off his opponent here with pylons. And by getting down a lot of pylons and walling off against his opponent, he then will be able to just put in a cannon here and make it very difficult for those roaches to try to break their way out. The Zerglings obviously cannot do it. You can see the probe just wandering around on the inside here. If a hatchery most likely will get set up there, and as soon as the hatchery is set up, then he will try to lay down these pylons. So he may be trying to delay it there. Oh, the probe just wandering around on the inside. This probe now returning home, so it doesn't look like it will be any sort of cannon rush. No, we are going to be seeing a Nexus here. So the Nexus placed down a second or so before this one hatchery. So the probe has been able to now return back over here as this hatchery has been placed down, as both sides now just trying to macro up as quickly as possible. Huck now currently supply blocked at 18/18. He is getting a photon cannon up now, but there's really no reason. No, the Zerglings are already on their way, so yeah, he does need to get that up as quickly as possible. He needs to get a gateway up, and as soon as that gateway is up, he should be able to fend off this attack. This pylon has a decent amount of hit points. There's a photon cannon about 5 seconds from being completed. Gonna get some damage onto this one gateway here. The gateway, however, not going to fall, as the Overlord now taking a bit of damage. As you can see, the tracking location on that Overlord there. The hatchery and Nexus about to be completed. About another 20 seconds or so for the both of them, as a gateway is now coming in, and it looks like Huck will be using a very similar strategy that a lot of Protoss players have been using as of late, getting a lot of gas in order to train up a lot of sentries early on. This is just straight up Protoss style of play here. As you can see, Huck rallying all of his probes over here, so they will be rallied off into this location here, and now both players are running off of 2 bases. This hatchery is already up and running. A queen there to tend to the hatchery, and will be able to just get a very strong economy going, as the probe coming back over here, taking a look to see if the rocks are being destroyed. Yes, the rocks are already being destroyed. Slowly taken down. 3 armor on those rocks. The probe trying to get its way in, won't be able to. The queen able there to receive it with welcome and open claws, taking it down rather quickly. Back here, the Overlord able to just get as much sight and as much scouting information as he would like, as we are still only running off of 1 gateway, now going into a sentry. Team Liquid's Huck should be able to just macro up very slowly over time. You can see Huck, though, with only 20 so-ish, or yeah, what is that, 16, 19 probes over here. He can still try to saturate more here. He has a lot of room to just work with. Now getting more assimilators, so we may be seeing 2 base Colossus in just a moment. This one Overlord now trying to just run away. It looks like it will be able to. The sentry now coming back over here to try to get more damage onto this Overlord. Overlord at 168 hit points, 169, and now just trying to save itself. The sentry doesn't deal that much damage, and now being forced and being pushed away. So the two Nexuses have a lot of energy between them, almost 100 energy between them. Now deciding to chrono boost once more, getting and just training up as many probes as possible. And it looks like the sentries are already taking down one of the pylons, and that is going to be a very, very horrible mistake in just a moment. That you can see that the Zerglings may be able to run by, and that has got to be painful. You can see a sentry getting stuck there, and a bit of a mistake. No other way to call it, but besides a mistake there, as the Zerglings are now trying to push their way in. Are they going to get a force field? And ooh, two Zerglings getting stuck on, one Zergling getting stuck and one Zergling getting lost there. The third hatchery already been placed down, so that will be running at the 8-minute 30-second mark, most likely, as those Zerglings once again back off. Huck getting, I guess, a little bit too cute with his pylon placement and his powering of his buildings, and forgot that the radius on those pylons were reduced since for a while now. Anyways, we are going into that warp gate research, and now 6 additional gateways. So these gateways here all being powered off of one pylon. It looks like another round of gateways here being powered off of one pylon, being very careful to separate the two so that it is not spotted out nearly as easily. Level 1 weapons upgrade almost done, as more pylons are being warped in, and this will allow reinforcements to come in very, very quickly. Huck still sitting on a large number of sentries at this point, and now going to get some damage perhaps onto those Zerglings, and able to corral them all. Nicely done, and just using force fields to get off those kills. Those poor Zerglings don't stand a chance. Stalkers now warping in as well, and down they go. So it is going to be 3 bases in just a moment. The Stalkers now coming in, so dealing a lot of damage there. We can see that Overlord has spotted this set of gateways, but by Huck splitting up his gateways with another set down here, really, Curious doesn't know what's happening. Meanwhile, Curious taking a look at the income tab: 60 drones, 54 probes, a lot of roaches, army compositions, double evolution chambers coming in, but no creep tumors to connect these bases. If you take a look at the queens, though, the queens do not have more than 25 energy on any of them, which is very impressive if you consider the fact that he has not missed a spawn larva yet. The Stalker is now trying to engage and fighting on creep, and those roaches on creep moving so quickly, and now you can see that those roaches trying to just squeeze their way through, and the sentries with no real good defense point to lay down a lot of force fields. The roaches are finally going to engage over here in just a moment. The roaches are finally pushing their way through, and Huck will just have to be happy with trying to exchange armies at this point. And yeah, I believe Curious taking the upper hand in that battle, as those roaches may be able to get more damage. There are more reinforcements here. Those roaches should not engage now, as they are lost in numbers and now burrowing once more. So it looks like a lot of Korean Zerg players are starting to burrow more, and that is good news. We are going to be we're going to have an observer now making its way out. There are those roaches all burrowed there, so those Stalkers may just try to move out, not knowing. So the Stalkers are going to simply move on top of those units first and then attack. There you go, nicely done. The Curious wasn't sure, but in comes a new round of roaches. Those roaches coming back in, getting a lot of damage. Where are those force fields? There you go. The roaches do have tunneling claws, but that's not going to help them now, as the observer is there. Roaches getting destroyed, and I think Huck is actually gaining the upper hand, but his sentries didn't get the memo to retreat. We are going to have these these units now just with tunneling claws, battling it back and forth, trying to go after lower hit point Stalkers, now attempting to run away. Blink about to be completed, and as soon as Blink is completed, you can know that those Stalkers are going to be able to pick off even more units. Another round of roaches. Half a dozen roaches destroyed right there, and it's going to be a roach battle versus roaches versus Stalkers, and that Stalker, that Blink research, able to just pick off more units very, very timely there. Another hatchery being placed down, so this will be a 4th base up and running for Curious. Meanwhile, Huck, with no signs of relenting in his aggression, he already has a 40 food difference, and an 800 resource difference as well, as he is continuing to get more and more stalkers. His army composition, though, his units count rather low, only 16 roaches, and make that 15 roaches. But he is getting the level 2 weapons upgrade. The roaches now getting level 1 weapons upgrade, and we are going to get some, I believe, some Hydralisk as well, as I saw the Groove Spine research, and oh, this one observer will get taken down. I don't see where the detector is. Oh, the overseer right over here, and it looks like the queen was almost able to shut down that observer. We still have this overlord here getting sight, and you can see how many probes both players, or how many workers both players have. 81 compared to 79. Drones now being transferred here, as there is still this one observer there. The observer not being revealed by the overseer, as now in come the stalkers. The stalkers may try to battle it out here. Both sides getting in a lot of damage, and a nice blink by that stalker, but I think it may not matter, as the roaches are going to be able to finish those off. And now another round of stalkers have been destroyed. So whoever seems to be retreating seems to be losing their units much more quickly, as the roaches and zealots, and now in come the force fields, splitting the army. The roaches in the back, unable to really do anything, and now the roaches are attempting to pull away and then use the force fields against them. So we should be getting another round of burrow, and those roaches do regenerate at 10 hit points a second with tunneling claws. So the stalkers, one stalker cannot take down a roach while it is burrowed. The roaches are now continuing to battle out, and now in comes an immortal. That immortal with that burst damage, 50 damage or 60 damage in attack, as it is level 2 weapons upgraded. And now that one stalker, just being the assassin he is, blinking forward and trying to fight back. And oh, down goes the observer, but down goes the overseer as well. So let's just exchange detectors. So those roaches now a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more durable now that we have some Hydralisks. Those Hydralisks will be able to focus down the observer, and so as long as there's an overseer, and then those roaches are going to have a little bit more longevity. Another observer now coming in. The roaches trying to battle it out. Another overlord shot down there, and now blinking away. Curious does have the food advantage, 197 compared to 154. But Huck is sitting on a large number of, or a large cache of minerals and gas. I believe as soon as those pylons are done, you're going to see him warp in a lot of units, as both sides are trying to engage. And now the roaches are pushing down here. Curious now taking up a 5th base, as the main bases are starting to mine out at this point. You can see the main bases down over here starting to mine out, as we are also going into an infestation pit. The roach overlord has been shot down, as the roaches and hydros are now trying to battle it out. No sentries to be found, as the overseer is here. Down goes another observer, but there is still this photon cannon here. Roach is trying to focus down the immortals, and able to do so, but now in comes zealots along the far side, and the stalkers blinking in. And wow, Huck defending off Curious's attack very easily, or pretty easily, as now pulling back once more, getting some photon cannon action in there as well. Those photon cannons look like they will fall, but absorbing the majority of that damage from those Hydralisks. The stalkers know that those Hydralisks are not going to retreat, as the stalkers would just be able to blink after them, or even just chase, as stalkers are much faster than Hydralisks off of creep. A new overseer being hatched. Production, we already have Curious sitting on a much larger army once more. Meanwhile, Huck sitting on level 3 weapons upgrade. They will be completed. Level 1 weapons or armor and shield upgrades also being added as well. It looks like a nexus wants to be established over here. Probes doing long distance mining, as we are now getting the roaches coming in from the north, and it looks like Curious will be able to push in rather easily with his attack force here. And Curious, with his level 2-2 upgraded units, going after what he assumes to be another nexus that isn't there. So these units are now a bit out of position, as these roaches are going to get taken down very, very easily. The probes trying to absorb as much damage as possible, and down it goes. The probes now once again in full retreat, and we have to be very careful for Huck right now. Huck, he does have those High Templars, so those High Templars may be able to get in some damage there, trying to cast some Psystorm on roaches, but roaches do move rather quickly, especially on creep. But I'm still rather disappointed in Curious's creep spread. He wants to use his movement advantage. Movement is very important in StarCraft, being able to get within combat range with those Hydralisks and those roaches. Another overseer coming into play, as well as the Overlord spots out this Nexus down here. We are going to have Stalkers and Immortals, High Templars in position. Perhaps even a Nidus network would be kind of cute at this point. A Nidus network right here would be able to just generate a lot of units and then try to flank against his opponent. We are going to get a large number of Roaches in this engagement here. The Roaches able to snipe down that last Stalker. Down it goes. And here comes the engagement. No Colossi. So here comes the battle. But Psystorm just eating through so many of those Roaches. The Roaches are now trying to run away, but they have been softened up so much already. And Curious's army much, much lower. Archons now being merged and being pushed forward as well. So those Archons being pushed by the back of his, by the other hand of the army, and Huck taking a huge advantage now in the game. You can see a lot of Roaches are in production. Infestors getting in a nice fungal growth there, and now attempting to run away. This one Infestor very low on hit points, should perhaps burrow, as it is a very, very expensive unit. But a very critical fungal growth to put a reset button on that attack. We are already at the Greater Spire now, so perhaps we should be getting some Broodlords. You can see, if you take a look at the harvest count, 82 compared to 79. This one base not even mining yet, as the probes now finally being transferred. 19 probes being transferred to a new base. Another Infestor and Roach army composition trying to make their way out, and who will be taking the advantage here. And now, are we going to get Psystorm? Yeah, multiple Psystorm, fungal growth pushing through, but so much Psystorm, and those Roaches are just eating so much Psystorm. One Archon being pushed forward, and now those Roaches desperately attempting to run away, and that Archon moving a pretty good distance across the field. Are we going to get perhaps another fungal growth there? This one Infestor low on hit points, and now the Roaches able to come in, unburrow another round of fungal growth, trying to prevent all of these Archons. Corruptors are in the air to try to morph into Broodlords. There have been no Colossi. Level 2 weapons upgrade. Roaches once again engaging on the ground. Infestors just getting popped as a large wave of Zealots now coming in. The Infestor needs to get off another fungal growth, but those Archons are massive. And yeah, and those Archons are massive and able to break through and push through rather quickly, as the Evolution Chamber now going to get the Evolution Chamber going to get taken down. Not too much of a loss there. Drones now getting taken down, as the army size of Huck, level 3 weapons upgrade. Those Archons simply eating through so many units so quickly. There are a lot still Corruptors. There are not that many Stalkers, so we should be seeing some Broodlord cocoons come in. Not quite sure why. And now if you take a look, this is where all the critical tech is. Infestation Pit, Greater Spire, Baneling's Nest, Spawning Pool, Roach Warren, and there's the GG. Yes, very well played by Huck. Huck timing his attack, running off of fewer bases, but still able to take the victory. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.